Welcome back to PWR Network, LLC, the world in your hand. Ann Arbor, Michigan is the broadcast home of PWR Network. And today, or I should say this morning, our special guest is Joe Crawford. And he was nominated for Best Comedian of the Year by the Artists Music Guild's Heritage Awards last year. He's also a variety talk show host that's heard across Canada and USA for 8 seasons. And for those who really want to know what he does in his spare time, he interviews countless celebrities. And I'll just give you a thin sampling from Tim Conway to Rita Rudner to Wink Martindale to Margaret Cho. Well, you get the idea. He is not a slacker. So good day, Joe. How are you this wonderful snowing, going to go below 35 below zero day?
Oh, it's beautiful. In Canada, we're used to it. You guys are near the border, too, with Michigan, so you guys are used to it as well.
Yes, but at least we're not getting 18 inches of snow.
That's true. Well, as long as I can still walk through it and drive through it, I don't care how much snow we get.
The best part is when you hydroplane down a steep hill in Maine, go flying over the next 2 hills and land in a snowbank. But you can't beat that.
Now you're going stunt driving now.
Yes. Well, we always, when you're young and stupid at 18, 19, and 20, those were the days, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes I feel like attaching some skis just to help protecting the vehicle to keep on going and sliding right through.
Absolutely. You want to put out your wings and really fly. So, Joe, what got you started in comedy? Were you funny as a kid?
Oh, when my mom gave birth to me, she said, "Look at that, there's a comedy guy." No, anyways, no, I got started into comedy. Actually, started in entertainment when I was 10. I was a professional clown, believe it or not, and ended up doing birthday parties and celebrations. And I always wanted to become a talk show host. Went to school for broadcasting at Niagara College in Canada, and worked in terrestrial radio for some time. Left terrestrial radio, wanted to keep my foot in the door in talking, doing the shows I was doing, and so it ended up being that the talk show host online became for 8 years, and the entertainment was just always wanting to make people laugh and enjoy themselves, and kind of there's so much seriousness going around in the world and that stuff. You got to take away from that, even if it's for 5-10 minutes or an hour or whatever the case may be, and just want to bring some happiness to people's lives, and that's how the entertainment comedy came along too.
I know. I partially do that. I'm always making fun of myself or anybody else for that matter. And I write black comedies where I'm just viciously humorous at the same time, stabbing people in the back, reminding them that we really are talking about a serious issue. But if you do it too seriously, well, then people don't really believe it's real, does it?
I mean, absolutely.
Think comments. Really? Seriously? And then you're trying to be funny, and they say, "Oh, come on, man. Really?"
I remember last year on Facebook, people can follow on my Facebook through my website, joecrawfordlive.com, but I ended up putting a day before April Fool's Day, I ended up putting that ex-girlfriend came to my door showing up that she was pregnant with my kid. And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!" I had people like outpouring, "Are you okay? We can get through this," and da-da-da-da. And it was just the whole talk of town. And then, of course, I put April Fools on the actual April Fool's Day. Well, I mean, a lot of people were ticked off. "I can't believe you did that." But there was still a few slight people who were like, "I can't believe you did that. Da-da-da-da. I'm trying to conceive." And it's like, it's a joke. You can't please everyone. But if you can just be happy and just take it as a joke, that's all that matters.
Well, I did War of the Worlds last year. And I did the introduction part where they're landing and everything. And I mean, I was told that people were going just flipping out. And then I said, "Hey, this was done like 40, 50 years ago. Get a life, people."
Yeah, exactly.
"What do you mean, get alive? The aliens are coming." And I said, "Well, if it's going to make you feel any better, when I was in school in the 50s, when the T-Rexes were marching through, yes, we had drills to go underneath the desks for when the aliens landed."
Oh, jeez.
And every time during a certain class, whether it was geometry or science or history, the teacher would say, "The aliens are coming. You know what to do."
That's funny. That's funny. Now, the only time I go to her desk is to scrape the gum out from underneath, but that's a whole other story.
Well, we used to be sent down to the basement during the atomic bomb drills.
Oh, geez.
And we would be sent down to the basement and we would cover our heads with our coats. Now, people today can laugh. They think that's hysterical. But back then, they didn't know very much about the atomic bomb. So we would go we would go down to the basement and cover our heads. And of course, my husband is an organic chemist, and he just laughed and he said, "You had been buried." I said, yeah. So what's your point? We wouldn't have to worry about radiation. Look on the bright side.
Yeah, there you go.
We wouldn't be blinded.
Yeah, no, you're already made yourself your own grave going down under.
Absolutely. All we need is a little sign saying, "Here lies the class of."
Yeah, there you go. 1805. But
1805. Exactly. I mean, when my grandkids come up to me and ask me, "Well, what kind of music did you listen to?" And I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought, musicals? All the dead people? I saw dead people back in the 60s.
Yeah. Big band.
So when you do your stand-up comedy...
I think I grew up in the wrong era with music.
Did you? Yeah. That's what I felt like when the Beatles came in and I was still listening to classical music.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, we won't go there. I could hear a dead bomb. The audience just died. Serve them another round of drinks, boys, and let's get moving and grooving. So when you do your routines, do you have prepared or do you do it off the cuff like I do it and Robin Williams?
No, what I have some stuff like what to talk about or whatever. I just don't stand up there and do total improv, but I do involve. I like the involvement from the audience. So there's always some kind of banter between the audience and I. Not like a heckler banter, but involvement that way. In my stand-up as well, I'll do stories and I'll do singing and I'll do impersonations. I'll dress up like Dolly Parton and Tina Turner and Elton John and Elvis Presley and Sonny and Cher, both of them at the same time. And so it's a whole good, anywhere between an hour, 2 hour show. And just get the audience involved. I'll do a calendar girls, get some ladies up, communicate with them, make them my calendar girls, talking about the music from the 50s and 60s there. And yeah, just it's a fun time, but I like to have some stuff prepared. But the funny thing is, I love it when someone comes up to me after the show or a day after the show and they say, "Remember when you said this? It was so funny. It was hilarious." No, I don't. What's thought here is not really thought that long. It comes out so quick and it's done and over with. And not any show is the same because every audience is different and every response is different. And what I sometimes find is that I'll do a joke and it kills with one audience. And I mean laughter kills, not kills the audience. But then I'll go do another joke or do that same joke with another audience and it doesn't get the same.
It bombs. Have you ever had anybody come up to you and say, I did recite some of your repertoire to my wife or to my husband when I got home, and they stood, looked at me and slapped my face and walked away?
I do. Or what they end up saying is, "Oh, what was I can't remember the joke that well. What was that joke or whatever?" So I can write that down or whatever else. But I've had some people that come up and say to me and like, "Joe, you do it better than I did because the wife or the husband or the boyfriend or the girlfriend, didn't really find it. You can get away with it more than I can." I'm like, well, that's good that being a comedian, I'm glad I can.
But there is a certain way of delivering a line, and a lot has to do with your body image and your facial expressions.
And timing.
Don't tie this all up together as a package. You really do risk to life and limb.
Oh, absolutely. And timing is with everything as well. So, I mean, there's comedians that are scolded for saying whatever. Like I'll use, for example, because I interviewed Gilbert Gottfried. He made the first 9/11 joke or whatever, right? Now, people, not to mock 9/11 or whatever else, but, I mean, it was like 2 weeks right after. And, people are like, "Oh, my gosh, how dare he," or whatever. But he built it all up, and the show that he was doing, it all worked out great. Same thing with the tsunamis or whatever else when he lost an Aflac job, too. It's all about timing and everything else. But just people just got to know not to be so serious as well.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the whole thing. Just relax, enjoy. Don't be too. I've had a person, and it really sucks is when you have a person in the audience and they sit there cross arms and they're looking like this, so stern, and 99, say 100 people in the audience, 99 people are laughing and enjoying themselves. But as an entertainer, as a comedian, you want to make that one, your attention is attracted to that one person, and they're just sitting there like a bump went along, and it's like, really? Like, yeah, some people you just can't convince, but.
It's difficult. I know I tell this joke to all my Christian friends and Protestant friends, and they never laugh. But if I tell it to the Jewish community, they laugh. And I think it's because they understand what I'm saying. And to them, it's funny.
Yes.
And to everybody else, it isn't. And it's a joke about your descendants and everything, because I have friends who are Christian and Protestant, and they can trace it all the way back to Adam and Eve. And I said, you know, I can't do that. And they say, why not? I said, well, after the years 1939 to 1940, my whole family was wiped off the face of the earth. And they don't laugh. They look at me and they say, what a terrible thing to say. And I said, look, we put God on trial after the war. Now that was funny too. But if you don't understand where the humor is coming from, then I can see where it's tragic. But I tell it all the time when they trot out their descendants, it's now a big thing for the celebrities to be descended.
Yeah.
Have you done anything with that? I'm surprised I haven't brought out a gaggle of baboons. I mean, we're all related to them some way or the other. Or introduce the different chimps. I mean, there are different monkeys all over the place. I could see you do a really smart skit with that. And bring up different examples from the audience.
Oh, absolutely. I can. And also, it's funny because you can end up saying, like you said, how it works that they could take the joke or whatever and to your Jewish community people. And so I can do an Italian joke with Italians, and they're like, ah, ha, ha, ha. It's funny because they actually get it and understand it. Where you tell your Jewish joke to your Protestants and that stuff, and they think it's a dig to them or whatever else. And it's like, no, they laugh. You can laugh too. Don't be so serious. But, and I slapped my knee when I heard about your Jewish joke, and we reviewed the backyard. I came out of the closet.
Yes, man. I didn't want to say anything. I'm a real professional. Your secret is safe with me. I want you to know that I raised a kid by myself for 15 years in a one-bedroom apartment, and things got interesting when he invited his friends over. So relax. You're a fellow laughing person, because you can only laugh at these things. If you let yourself get upset, you're going to dig a hole in the backyard and just throw yourself in and invite your friends over to bury you and hold the funeral at the same time. My God, what an opportunity.
You're absolutely right. And you know what? Life is too short. I've learned with entertaining over the past 20 years, more so the past 5 years, that it's too short. Enjoy it.
It's way too short. I can't imagine why anybody, and no offense to the people who have committed suicide, but I just don't understand why they do it. And I've been pushed to the desperation a couple of times in my life, and yet I've never taken that final step. So it must be something that clicks out and something else just clicks in. Because
absolutely, and it's ironically you bring up that mention, because with the mention of Robin Williams passing away and committing suicide, and we're actually going to be doing in the Joe Show in the next few months to come. We're still doing interviews. That we're doing a full mental illness 2-hour special on it, even though it's all fun and that stuff with the Joe Show. We do some serious stuff. But I had people actually come up to me because no one knows what's happening in your own personal life. You have a thing that's up, like you saw here, and then
but you have to. You have to. You don't want to live in a fishbowl. And I give those celebrities who manage to do it very, very high marks, because I know it's really impossible.
Well, absolutely. And I had many people after Robin Williams passed away, like, Joe, are you okay? Are you depressed? Are you whatever? And I'm like, well, I get depressed. I get sad. Like, I have feelings, but I'm lucky, thank God, and thank my stars, that I don't have that overshadow my life and take it over. And it's just not to knock up the upbringing of whoever and whatever, but I got to give a shout out to my mom, being a single mom, of raising me, and just she did a good job. And not to say that two parents can't do a good job either, but yeah,
one can do better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I was told my kid was going to land up in a gang at 9 and be dead by 12, or he'd be a truant by 16 and be in jail by the time he was 21, and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure, we ought to get some single moms together, your mom, me, and a couple others, and we ought to do a comedy show.
Oh, absolutely. It can be the single mom show.
Yeah, I really think so. And we have it way over the moms from today, because they were born in a generation where they really have reaped the rewards from what we got. And the 60s, I grew up with Robin Williams. He came in the 60s, and, even though he was fully grown and I was still growing, yeah, it was a blast watching him on Mork and Mindy, and then following him around. I still love him when he played Theodore Roosevelt. I thought that was a perfect match in heaven, and that was his true character. And he's done some really serious stuff, and he's done some really funny stuff, but that impersonation was to the T the most of his alter ego.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that was his Mr. Hyde.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I mean, just genius writing as well, with everything that he's done, like he did. And it's funny how, and it's for own personal thing, how after he passed away, everyone found out afterwards what he did with the animals, and what he did for the homeless people and all that stuff. He didn't go out and brag, look at, I'm a celebrity star and I'm doing this for the homeless, let's get the paparazzi here or whatever else. That was his own doing. That was his own satisfaction of wanting to do that too, which I commend him as well, as a humanitarian and a personal person himself. I never got to meet the man ever, but I've got to meet many different celebrities, and actually and interview them in person or over the phone, and talk with them off the air as much as on the air. And the stuff that they do, they'll tell me stuff that don't say on the radio, but they do this personal stuff just because they want to, and it's just phenomenal. Like, they're a human being as well, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, we, the public, have this bad problem of wanting always somebody a little bit better than us, or somebody that we can look up to as a possible god or goddess. And that even though we separated from England, I am sorry to say, we have replaced England with our own nobility, our own knights and knighties, and our own other classes. That when I heard that one of the basketball players was considered the royalty of basketball players, I'm going, royalty?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought we separated ourselves from that. Royalty. Well, I got bad news for you. There's going to be a peasant uprising real soon. Watch out, royalty. I'm out to get you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, it's totally true. Like, and it's funny too, and maybe I'm too modest or whatever as well, because people are like, oh, you're great at what you do and that. I'm like, I just do what I do, and I'm glad that people like what I do, and I enjoy what I do. And to me, luckily, it's not a job. I enjoy it and everything else. Probably like yourself, this is not. It is a job, but you don't see it as a job because it's something that you enjoy.
I love it.
Yeah. And if you can do that, if you can do whatever you can that you love of a job, and it's not a job, then yeah. And I said to myself, I made a promise to myself, and I said, the day that it feels like a job, then I'm out, because then I know it's going to affect others outside of me. It's going to affect my performance, and it just won't work out well. And I don't consider myself the best. I was like, oh, your voice is great. I'm like, well, that's good. And I go, there's other people that I enjoy that have nicer voices too and that stuff, and I do sing all right too, but I don't think it's the best, or I'm the second king like Elvis Presley or the royalty or whatever else. It's just, I'm Joe Crawford, and that's what it is. This is what you're going to get.
That's right. And just put an A in there, and with an N, and you're on your way. Come on.
That's right. Well, you know, it's in our country. That's why we say A. It's how we spell it. CANADA. So it's automatic right in there.
I know. A. You get past it and over it. AUI. So, Joe, what kind of wisdom do you have, or passionate words do you have for kids who find out early that they're good and making jokes and keeping their parents laughing so loud they're not paying attention that he's just slipped out their wallet and take a $50 bill to go to the mall with his friends. So what kind of words of wisdoms do you have?
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that people are probably thinking, what's this young guy got of wisdom? And I actually do have some experience. So I'm going to say that, and I use this every day, is be persistent, but don't be annoying. So in that case, I mean, for example, you're going to get many no's before you get a lot of yeses. But just don't give up after the first no. You're going to get a lot of no's. In this business myself, I mean, I'm in my third season for the Joe Show TV show. And I tried to break out into TV and online TV, and there was a lot of million no's. I had a maybe at one point. I did get a yes that we did one season with a network in Toronto, and I left on my own terms after the first season. I kind of pulled a Rosie O'Donnell, but I completed my season. But what happened is that you just have to stay with it and don't give up. If you really, really, really want to tell jokes, you really, really want to sing, you really, really want to be a banker, whatever the case may be, is stick with it. It's going to be a lot of hard work, a lot of time you're going to put into it, but the outcome is just more than plenty. Perfect example is, for example, I had Larry King. I interviewed Larry King. Great, used to be on CNN for many years. Now he's on online Hulu and all that stuff. And I asked before in the past to have him on the show. No. All right. A few months go by. Ask again. No. Okay, fine. A few more months go by. 4 times. We ended up getting on the season 7 finale, and the interview is on the website, joecrawfordlive.com. And yeah, it was just persistent. Now, annoying is different, because if I was asking every day, oh, okay, yeah, but no, just checking after every couple of months. Oh, by the way, is there a chance? And it worked out. And I mean, that's how I've been able to get all these stars and these great guests. And yeah, it's just amazing. And just by being persistent and sticking to it.
I can agree with that. I have 2 things to say. One, my son now is a world famous graphic artist, and I told him that he told me he wanted to be an astronaut, artist, archaeologist. And he ended up, of course, as an artist. And of course, he was in acting. But he was told he had to give up one or the other. Now, years later, he says, Mom, I picked the wrong one. I should have gone into acting. I said, really, Ben? Okay. But he picked an industry along with writing, entertainment, artist. And I used to tell him that I'm sure your mom must have said a few things on being a history teacher, because he wanted to be that. I said, those are the starving jobs in the world. Try to find a profession where you're not going to starve. Well, then I hear from my husband, who's an organic chemist, who's telling me, these are my degrees, this is where I'm going to so. And he said, you can add chemistry to that list too, because I starved quite a few years before I finally got my job. And it was a gentle persistence of going where I wanted to go, where I needed to be seen in all this. And like anything else, if you want it, and seriously, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, you need to be persistent, but the biggest thing you didn't say is you have to have the confidence inside of you that you can do it. Because if you don't have that confidence, everybody can see it.
Absolutely.
It's hard to believe, but they can actually see that you don't believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. I know it's right up there. If you don't love yourself, nobody will love you. If you don't like yourself, nobody likes you. And nobody can hate yourself as much as you can. Trust me, I know. I go out into the garden a lot and dig all those holes and then fill them right back up again. But you have to believe in who you are. So, Joe, please tell everybody where they can find you on the World Wide Web and in the flesh.
Yeah, well, other than being here in the flesh on your show, Lillian, that they can go to my website, joecrawfordlive.com, and everything there, me, is there. My Facebook, my Twitter, the Joe Show radio show, the Joe Show TV show. You just click on the different tabs. You can see the Joe Show tab. You can go click on that, and you can click on our past interviews that we've done with other guests in the past. We just uploaded our recent one. We had Cheech and Chong on as well. And future interviews to come is, the other one we just put up there too, I think, was with John Lovitz as well. So there's a whole bunch of new interviews being added every week after every show that's aired on Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And also that you can see where I'm at. Even though I'm based in Canada, I do go all over North America. And I'm hoping nominations are being accepted right now for the Heritage Awards. And that was a true honor of being nominated for that for Best Comedian. That was a shocker, actually. And so anyways, nominations are being accepted for that. Just go to the Artists Music Guild website to put your nominations in for Best Comedian, Joe Crawford. Yes, okay. And that was Joe Crawford. Yeah, Joe Crawford.
And the microphone is in that shirt.
Oh, Joe Crawford. Like Cindy Crawford, but no relation.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
And yeah.
Pass the ammunition. Okay, I'm okay now.
and nominate me for Best Comedian for 2015 because that award show will take place again in November. So I'm looking forward to everything that's going on. Looking forward to meeting all the great people wherever I go and travel and perform.
Now that sounds cool. Okay, thank you all very much for listening to PWR Network. You can find us and hear this all over again, but I warn you, it isn't pretty. All right. You can find us at twitter.com/PWR Network LLC, facebook.com/PWR Network LLC, and Passionate World Radio Network.com. We're all over the place. Thank you all very much for listening. And remember, don't go away, Joe. And keep listening.